Hi everyone, it's Nicole Jones, 911 Colors, and we are going to keep coloring on the unicorns that is in Tales from the Forest Kingdom from Hannah Carlzon. And let me put it this way, well, you saw how long this video is, so buckle up, get a coffee, get a snack, maybe get some other snacks because it is long. Now, one thing I'm going to tell you is I am definitely not doing the voiceover all in one shot. I'm going to try and do it over a few days. And then that way, one, maybe I can think of, different things to say. And two, it's not really hard on my vocal cords. I don't know if you know this about me, but my name, Nicole Jones 911, is because I actually worked for a dispatch center, like a 911 center, the ambulance dispatch for 14 years. So I was a dispatcher for 14 years. And one of the things that it's really hard on you, well, one, it's hard on your head, very hard on your head. A lot of PTSD from that place, but also it's very hard on your vocal cords. So one thing that they told us, I had gone to a 911 conference, and one thing that they told us was, when you go home, it's almost like, singers before a concert. I mean, we're nothing like singers, but it's just comparison. Before a concert, they wouldn't talk. They probably don't talk for a day or two before to preserve their vocal cords. So they told us, when you're home, try to not talk too much and to help your vocal cords. Well, what do? I start a YouTube channel. And I've had my YouTube channel since 2013, and I started at 911 in 2007. So about 6 years in, I started my YouTube channel. And so what I would do was, whenever I needed to do voiceover and they were long, I wouldn't do it all at once. I tried to, kind of spread it out. And even like I would do YouTube lives, or we would do virtual crops. And there's one that I did 12 hours in a row, which was a lot of fun. But at the end of the day, I could hear my voice like it would just crack because the vocal cords were being a little abused. So just to let you know, this is going to be a very chatty video. We are going to talk, about the layout, or I keep saying layout because I'm a scrapbooker. Um, the coloring page, but also we're just going to talk about life, just talk about, that this is Tuesday and what I did today on Tuesday and, what's coming up for my weekend and all that kind of stuff. When I personally watch any type of videos, I like the chatty ones. I want to feel like I'm getting to know the person, and I, I'm very much a homebody. So for me, this is my social time. So I am doing the voiceover on, or starting to, on January 13th. And I actually finished this 2-page spread on January 12th. Now, when I was kind of planning, I was hoping that I was going to be done on January 10th, but it's only 2 days later than what I thought. And second of all, this is like spread 3 and 4. So it's January 13th, and I'm starting my spread number 5. Oh, talking about spread number 5, my 26 in 2026, I've already changed something. I had chose a page in Magical Jungle by Joanna Basford, and it was all those big leaves. And the more I look at it, the more I'm like, oh, this is not gonna be fun to color. And I found another one that has more leaves. They're a little smaller. It's still from the same book, And it has not just leaves, it has flowers in it, it has a parrot and some butterflies. So, you know what? I changed it to that. I might try to do a leaf or two on that other page. So it's going to become a whip. So I'm going to touch that page in January and we're going to call it good. I still plan on doing 2 pages in that book. And already I've colored 2 leaves today in those 2 page spread. And you know what? This is not serious, right? This is for fun. And I wrote that list, the 26 in 2026, and I'm hoping to stick to it as close as I can. But at least I'm sticking to another 2 page spread in that book. And I'm going to start that layout. And we're going to call that good. Now, I'm so happy to have finished this 2 page spread, the unicorn ones. And I can't believe that when I started that, I was like, oh, I think it's going to be pretty quick because, you have the big area that is, where the forest is, and that's using neo colors, and then the water, and then you have a little bit of flowers and the lily pads and the mushrooms, and then you have the unicorns, and that's it. It still took me, this is what, an hour and 40 minutes? Well, times 4 because I sped it up times 4. So it's almost 8 hours for just this section and or this time around. And the first one was almost an hour. So that was almost 4 hours. So it took me 12 hours to get this 2 page spread or, yeah, 2 page spread done. And I know I'm slow. And that's just what I recorded. Like the second layer of the neo colors, and I think some places I even went like a third layer of neo color. I didn't film that. And I probably spent probably between 1 and 3 hours to do that. And another thing is, like, when, let's say if I did the leaves and I did the whole, darkest color to lightest, and then I was done and I would turn the recording off. Well, after the fact, I go back over each color because I don't find that I'm very good right now at burnishing as I go because I'm afraid to burnish too far and then I won't be able to blend when I want to blend. So a lot of the stuff I have to go over it again. But I'm learning. I'm still in my training phase, and that's why I wanted to do the leaves in Joanna Basford, uh, Magical Jungle, because I'm following Karen's tutorial, and it's all about, well, how to color leaves, but she's talking about blending and that, along that line. So I am learning a lot, and just doing all her videos, I'm learning a lot. And I'm so thankful for the coloring community. People, share, and um, it's just a great place to learn how to color. And, it seems like such a simple thing, right? Like I have a 2.5-year-old granddaughter, and she loves to color, absolutely loves it. And it was funny the other day, she saw one of my books. Which one was it? Manaresa Dirge Africa. I was just looking, through it, seeing what pages I would like to color while she was playing. And she was like, ooh, I try? And I was like, maybe when you're a little older. You want me to take out your coloring book? And she just loves to color. And right now she has, the Crayola wax crayons. but she loves a pencil, like a lead pencil. So my daughter and I were talking, and I think she would like Crayola pencils a whole lot more because she likes the feel of them. So I might buy her, like the 100 set, or maybe not that much. Maybe like the 24 set or the 48 set, and buy her a new coloring book. And I bet you she would love that because she loves the feeling of a pencil and she doesn't like the feeling of wax crayons. So I'm still working on those little cards. So instead of, I'll probably still pull up the pencil crayon to show you what color I'm using, but then I'm making these little cards on Canva for every pencil set that I own. And I think right now I'm finishing off my Albert Dürer. Um, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I have my granddaughter, so I can't really do anything, during the day. And right now, my granddaughter is pretty sick. I hope they took her to the doctor last night, and she's on two puffers. She's on salbutamol and a steroid one. And it's so sad. Like today, after she woke up from her nap, you always feel the worst. Like when you just wake up, and I was snuggling her, and she was like, when you wake up, you're cold, and so I had her blankie around her, and she looks at me and she says, "Mammy, help me." And it was just broke my heart. Like I said, well, Mammy's gonna, rub your back and we can snuggle until you feel better. And she barely ate today. I got up this morning and made lunch for her, and she had maybe, I don't know, maybe 10 macaroni noodles. So then after that, I peeled her an apple. She ate the whole apple. And the kid is so funny. Will not eat bananas at her house. Will not eat them. She asks for them when they do groceries. They give it to her, she won't eat them. Here, she ate half a banana today. And I eat the other half and I say, bananas are so good. She ate the whole half a banana. So at least she had a banana and an apple. And then she likes the Mr. Noodles, which we don't like to give them, too often. But I was like, she's got to eat something. So she'll eat the entire thing, and she only ate maybe a quarter of the package, and that was it. And I just felt so bad. I, I hope her dad had this like 2 weeks ago, and she ended up with a fever about a week and a half ago. And the fever lasted maybe 3 days, and then it broke, and she had a runny nose for a couple of days. And then she was fine, and we're like, whoo, like awesome. And then 2 nights ago, all of a sudden, she was raspy, and it was like, oh no. And then yesterday, she was really raspy. And then last night, she had a really rough night. And so my daughter stayed home from work, and they slept in till about 9, I think. And then she came over so that I could watch the baby and then she could sleep. So my daughter ended up having like a good 4 hour nap, and Lexi I got her to sleep for about an hour. So I hope she gets, a good night's sleep tonight. And I keep forgetting that this is a new YouTube channel for me. So I probably have a lot of people that don't follow my scrapbooking channel. So uh, I have 3 children. They're all adult children. And my oldest has a son who's 13 years old. He's heavily into hockey. He plays competitive hockey. He's in U13A, and he also plays spring hockey. And, he's on the ice in the summertime. We actually have him booked in for a decamp in another province that's like, probably a couple of hours from here for this summer. And then my middle daughter, she's the one that I was saying last time. She had the Chiari malformation, and she ended up having to have a brain surgery this summer. So she's still recuperating, and she has a 2.5-year-old. And then I have a son. He's the only one that doesn't live close to me. He lives 10 hours from me, and I find it so hard because I get to see him once a year for 10 hours, for 10 hours, for a week. Last summer, he ended up moving in June, the end of June, 1st of July. So I actually saw him twice. We drove up on Friday, helped him move, and then came back on Sunday because, again, my daughter was sick. So she needed our help. I made sure that she had help for the weekend. And then we came home and slept. We got home at 6:30 in the morning, and she came over at 12 so that she could sleep because she had really bad migraines, and still does. Um, she went a little bit that she wasn't getting migraines, and now she's getting them again. And I think it's because um, her body is still getting used to, it's still healing. And somebody was asking me if she's going to need another surgery, and it's definitely a possibility. Um, she might need pain management surgery, and I don't even know what that involves. Now, the surgery she did have was successful. What Chiari malformation is her C1 was bigger than, she was born with this. It was bigger than it was supposed to, so it was blocking her spinal cord, and so her spinal fluid was going where it wasn't supposed to. So instead of going around the spinal cord, it was going inside the spinal cord, and it caused what is called a syrinx, which is a cyst which was filled with her spinal fluid, and it was getting bigger and bigger, and it was occupying around, like circumference, it was occupying 80% of her spinal cord, and it was going to her T11. That's how long it was. And it was so big that he was afraid that she was going to paralyze. So he needed to perform the surgery that he performed, and all this, and because the fluid was going where it wasn't supposed to, her cerebellum was falling into her spinal cord. And so then there was some dead brain cells. Like, he had to remove some of her brain. He had to remove her C1. And when he got in there, he noticed that her C1 was actually fused to her bottom of her skull, which we figure that was, she was a cheerleader for many years, and they dropped her on her head when she was 15. And we figured that that's when it happened. So he had to also remove the bottom of her skull, and then he had to put a patch because, I mean, she can't, her C1 in the bottom of her skull, that protects us from, protects her brain. So he had to put something there, but he also had to put something to keep her cerebellum where it needs to stay so it stops falling. So it was, a pretty scary surgery, and she had complications after. And in October, she did an MRI, and the syrinx was 9 millimeters big, and it dropped to, or it shrunk to 2 millimeters. So that is amazing news, because the other surgery that he didn't want to do it. He said that the one he did it on a guy, and there was a 50% chance that Like if he had to remove that syrinx, 50% chance she was going to end up in a wheelchair. And he said, we are just going to do that surgery if we have absolutely no other choice. So he was ecstatic that um, it had shrunk that much. And he said it was completely gone, but I think what he meant was her chances of her paralyzing just instantly. Um, her chances were completely gone. And before the surgery, a simple fall, like to the ground, like tripping and falling, she could have paralyzed or fall down the steps. A small car accident, like literally anything. Even before her surgery, she was saying when she would get her migraine, she would say that her neck was so stiff. And the first thing he said when he came into the room after the surgery, he said it was time. It was time, and it was tight. Like there was the syrinx was really, uh, really big, and she still. I mean, the kid had brain surgery. She still has a lot of recovery to do. Like she's been at work now for a week. Is it a week? This week. So she started on the 2nd, so 12 days. I don't know how many shifts she did, but she's finding it like by the time she comes home, she is exhausted and she's getting a headache almost every day. But he said that she needs to build up her tolerance, because she was at home doing nothing. So now she needs to build up her tolerance with doing stuff. So I think she's part-time right now, mornings, Monday to Friday. So she's going to do another week like that and then add Tuesday and Thursday afternoon and see how that goes. And then she'd like to add another afternoon too at some point, and maybe just keep like Wednesdays and Fridays that she doesn't work in the afternoon. Um, they thought at one point that maybe she, like he said, like some people just never return back to work. So the fact that she's back is huge, but there's a lot, like it's not like instant, she's got a lot of build up to do. Then I'm going to talk about the coloring for a little bit, and then, there's almost 2 hours of video here. So I just want to let you know, because I keep forgetting that this is a new audience. So there's been so much that happened since January 2025. All of us were like, we're going to be so happy when 2026 is here because it was a rough year, like rough. I went for a massage after a few months because I had to keep canceling because, with everything that was going on. And I was telling her everything and she was like, what? Like literally, like all of that happened. And I was like, yeah, it's been a rough year. So to get back to the coloring, um, because I'm following someone else's tutorial, I'm not really, I'm okay with not talking about, oh, I use color this, and this, and this. And when I do my own tutorials, 100%, it's still going to be a chatty video, but I plan on talking more about, you know, the difference between layering and blending and the neo colors and what I like about them and maybe what I don't like about them, and talk about the paper and I'll tell you right now, Hannah Carlson paper, I love it. You can use wet medium on them. There was one spot in the spine of the coloring book. There was one spot that the blue of the water did go through. Now I'm just going to make sure that when I do the other side, even if I wasn't planning on doing a full page of color, I'm going to do a full page because I want to color that. And there is a difference, you know. Um, the paper matters. And a lot of Amazon coloring books, so you get Amazon quality paper. If you get a only one-sided paper, then it should be okay, because I would totally suggest basing your page first. So base it with alcohol marker or Prismacolors, and then go over top with your pencil crayons. And I think you'll enjoy the coloring book a whole lot more. They're way cheaper, no doubt about it. You know, like a lot of like that, those like nice little town coloring book and the Matchstick Mouse coloring book. I love those. They're so stinking cute. Now, when I color in them, I'm like, oh, like the blending, it just doesn't want to blend the way it does on this quality paper. Well, that's why the quality of the paper, the tooth of the paper just doesn't, I guess, allow for that. So by um, using alcohol markers or Tombow markers, or what else could you base? Watercolor. Now, I have to say, I did in the coloring book, Matchstick Mouse coloring book, I used my Arteza watercolors, and I did not enjoy them at all in that coloring book, because I needed to get the paper pretty wet in order for it to move the color. But the Albert Dürers, you barely have to get those wet and to get them to move, to blend. So I think I am going to try them out and see how I like them. But I think I'm going to like those a whole lot more for those cheaper coloring books. And I don't know if you saw, but I brought like a little card in about a few minutes ago. Those are the cards that I'm working on for when I'm doing my tutorials. That way I don't have to keep writing the name of the color on the screen. You'll be able to see it. I'll take it out when I take the color out. I have finished up to now. I finished my Prismacolors because they're the ones that I use the most. So they're the most important to get done. And then I finished my Albert Dürers. And now I'm working on my Chroma Flows. And then I'll work on my Polychromos. And then my Brute Funas. And then I'll do my Artex. And I also have some Polycolors. So I have, 5 to 8 sets. I can't really remember how many sets, but I'm going to do it for all of them and keep them in little baggies. And I have those like pencil storage where you keep the pencil. Some of them it's like 3 pencils together. I like the ones that every pencil is individual, and you can get them in different sizes from, 100 to 120, or 100, 150, 200, even up to 300 pencils. So I've been buying those a little bit here and there. I got 2 of them in yesterday, and it's going to fit my Albert Dürers and my Polychromos. And then I'll just need to get 2 more for my Chroma Flow. And what else? Oh, I guess I need one for my Inktense. And I need one for a couple other ones. So I just keep buying a couple here and there. And I really like to keep those in those cases. One, finding the pencil is so much easier. And 2, putting them back. I had the one that had like a slot that you would fit 3. Well, I would always end up putting it in the wrong one, and I would have to move not just 1 or 2, like I would have to move like quite a few of them. And I'm like, I need those ones that are just single, and then, it just keeps everything all nice and neat. What I like to do too is I have an empty container on my desk, and when I'm working on a page, like right now, I'm working on Joanna Basford Magical Jungle. I'm working on a 2-page spread, and I put all the pencils in that container because when I go to bed at night, I want to put the whole thing away. I don't want the pencils just kind of laying around on my desk. So I am able to put all those pencils away, but I don't want to put them away because I'm not done working on the page. So I put all the pencils in there. I neatly put it on my desk and everything is where it needs to be, or it looks like it needs to be. I'm the type of person that I really need to enjoy the whole process. So if it feels like it's always messy, then it just kind of clogs my brain. So that's why I like to have it organized like that. And I'm hoping that next week, I know I won't be able to do it this week, but next week, I'm hoping to be able to film my desk and show you where I color and also where I keep my coloring books. So be looking out for that. I'm happy that I have this area that I can just sit and enjoy coloring. One thing that I did notice about myself is, let's say if I have a combination of, 5 colors and I start with the first one and then I come back with the second one. What you're supposed to do is start with heavy pressure, medium heavy pressure, and then with your first color, and then go off and go softer so that when you add the second color, especially with Prismacolors, with polychromos, you have to layer, so that's different. But with Prismacolors, you can blend. So then when you come with the second color, you go over what you just did and put pressure where you had light pressure on the first color. So what happens is the second color and the first color blend. So you put pressure there and then you go soft when you go away from it. And then when you add your third color, it blends with your second color and so on and so forth. Well, I'm so afraid of the blending right away that I find once I'm all done, I'm not good at saying, okay, the first color is going to go from here to here, the second color. I'm still kind of learning. So I find that I'm doing a lot of like second time over. And then by the second time, then I get the blend that I want. And that's fine. I'm learning. So you know, I'm doing the page with a bunch of leaves on it and I'm finding that I'm getting much better. And that's why I wanted to do that page because it's sort of like a more open area and the leaves are kind of big. So it's kind of teaching me to, when to lift up the pressure and when to give heart pressure and that kind of stuff. I found that the page I did in Dark Fairy Tales, actually all the pages I did in Dark Fairy Tales, it was really good for that. The Nutcracker, the Nutcracker is so huge on the page, so it gave me a lot of practice for that. And also I did the shipwreck one with Sinbad. I love that page. I was talking to my son today and he's like, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm coloring." He's like, "What are you coloring?" And there wasn't much done on this page. And I said, "But here, let me show you the page that I did. I just finished a couple days ago." And I sent him the picture. He's like, "Wow, Mom, I love it." And I'm like, "I followed a tutorial." He's like, "Still, it looks so good." And he's an artist, right? It looks so good. He's like, "I love how you did the texture on the boat. And how did you get that? And did you put, so it's really speaking his language, right?" So, and he's like, "Oh, that's cool. I think I'd like to start coloring too, but I think I'd like knights and castles and that kind of stuff." And I'm like, because he's like, "I've been drawing a lot of knights and castles lately." So as soon as I got off the phone, I was like, "Knights and castle coloring book." Because what I do, because he lives 10 hours away, I think I mentioned that in the first part of the video. This is a different day, by the way. I'm doing the voiceover. Like I said, I think I'm going to do the voiceover over 2 or 3 days just so I can have different things to talk about, right? So I was saying that we send him money for Christmas. And then when he comes August, September, he comes at the end of August into September. Um, I have a box for him. So I'm like, oh, I got to put that in there, coloring books and maybe a set of pencil, I have a set of polychromos and polycolors, so I might give him the polycolors because I have polychromos. So the polycolors, I think I bought that in 2021 because I didn't want to spend the money on the polychromos, and I go and 4 years later I buy the polychromos, right? But I have an artist in the family, so I can give him the polychromos. They're still good pencils, and I think I have a set of Arteza too that I could give him. And so then he'll have, and last time he came, I gave him some uh, 7 or 8 Inktense, and then I sent him money and he bought a set of 24 of Inktense, and I had a set of 30 Neocolors. So now he's going to have, that I gave him. So now he's going to have Inktense, Neocolors, and he'll have Polycolors and Artezas. So he'll have a good variety that he can color into his and I think actually I have a set of Arteza watercolors too that I can give to him. I can give him both. And then he'll have watercolors so that he can base his pages with. So it'll go to someone that he'll enjoy using those. Okay, so this is actually quite a few days later. One thing about not using music is that it takes me quite a while to get one of these sort of ready to be uploaded to YouTube because, if it's an hour and 40 minutes, that means I have to literally talk for an hour and 40 minutes, and that's fine. It just means that probably I'll only end up doing maybe a couple of those a month. I'm trying to think of kind of do like updates every week on, what I'm working on, maybe do a little bit of coloring, sort of real time. I might start that either at the end of January. I mean, today's January 20th, so it has to be kind of at the end of January. And I'm going to try and do those. I would love to do them weekly, but probably we'll start every 2 weeks or something like that. And then, kind of let you know what I'm working on. Some other videos that I'm planning is, of course, when January ends, I'm going to show you all the pages that I colored in January because I can't film all of them. For January, it looks like it might just be these 2 pages here, unless, you know, in a week from now, I'll be able to maybe film something like a quick page or something, maybe with Copic markers or Ohuhu markers, and then pencil over top. One thing that I wanted to mention is I think at this point, the Neo Color 2s, I had only done maybe, I don't know, 1 or 2 coats of Neo Color. And what I like to do is wait for it to completely dry. Like I'll wait a couple of days before I actually go over top again and just deepen that color. And I really like that. Another thing that I noticed about myself is when I do the blending and I start with that first color and then go over with the second, third, fourth color, a lot of times I need to go back in at the end and use those first colors and kind of blend them over again. I'm not at the point where I know the pressure to, give the pencil to make sure that it covers the tooth and not push too hard and completely cover the tooth of the paper, and then I can't do any layers or blending. So it's that art, right? Karen from My Colorful Country Life, she is amazing at it, like she just, her first try, and it's just beautiful. I need to go over and over and over again until I like the look that I have. I have my electric eraser out and I erase and start over, and that's fine. It's all part of the learning. another thing I learned too, and the same with the Neo color, if you go from dark to light, when you wet your Neo colors, start on your light part of your crayon, and move into the dark, because otherwise you're going to move the dark into the light. And even with the blending of the pencils, when I get to that last color, I go from the light and then I blend in, you know, the third, the second, and the first pencil. And I find I get a much nicer blend than if I start from the dark and then go into the light, because then you kind of bring in all those darker colors into your light. And the reason for the light, that last, color, if you will, is for highlights. So you want to make sure not to cover those up. I'm learning so much. I literally sit at my desk every night and I color for at least probably an hour. So I think I'm going to get quite a few pages done. Right now, I am working on Magical Jungle, and I have to say, I changed the page. I had decided on a couple page spread for, what I wanted to do in January. And the more I looked at them, the more I was like, oh, I don't know if I like these pages. So I think what I'm going to do is just color one of the flowers and, count it good that I started it. And maybe I can pick one of the flowers, maybe one a week, and eventually get that page done. But I picked another 2-page spread, and it has way smaller leaves and flowers, and it has a parrot, and it's like a beautiful, like, jungle scene. And I probably have maybe a couple of hours left on that one to finish it. And then I needed a break. Like, I was spending, a few hours a day every day on it, and I was like, you know what? You still need to start the Minor Resa Dirge Africa. I call it the treehouse page. And I started on that one yesterday, and I got quite a bit done. I, spent maybe an hour and a half on it. So I'm really liking how that one's turning out. And what I like about Rita Berman's, the traveling books, they're really small. They're what, maybe, I don't know, 8 by 8. And so the pages are small, and I find that you get through them pretty fast. And it's a 1-page spread, not a 2-page spread. And like I think I mentioned that before, but when I was choosing the pages, oh, the pages I want to color in January. And I was like, oh, I want to make sure that I pick 3 different artists. And I did that. But I picked 2 books that had a 2-page spread in each of the book. And then the other one is a 1-page spread. So really, that is like 5 coloring pages. Because I want to do 26, well, there's 12 months. 12 times 2 is only 24. So there's a couple of months I have to do like 3 spreads. So I thought, you know what? I'm going to start with a bang and try to get the first 3 that I have to do in a month in January. And that way I'll feel like I'm ahead. And I think I'm going to get it done, because these here, the Tales from the Forest Kingdom, those 2 are done. And the Magical Jungle one, if I give it one more good push, it's, I said 2 hours, probably 2 to 4 hours. I'm not a fast colorist. I hope that I eventually pick up speed, but right now I'm just enjoying the process. So it takes the time that it does. And then the Minor Resa Dirge Africa page, I'm almost already halfway through. I'm probably 2/3 or 1/3 through. And so that's coming along nicely. And probably once I finish the part of the voiceover for tonight, I'll probably work on the Minor Resa Dirge Africa book again. I did finish a Lulu Mayo page. What's it called? House of Wonders. So I finished a page in that. I finished a page in Minor Resa Dirge Africa already. And I finished these 2 here. and I have 3 more that are coming along really well. And I think I had said I was going to do 3 more in the Africa one, but I think if I do 1 or 2 more and try to pick, I don't know, we'll see. We'll see. I kind of want to stick to my TBC, to be colored pile, because, I kind of chose them, but we'll see. We'll see if I feel like coloring them. Another thing I want to do, which I think I'm going to start on Thursday, is I'm going to start a journal, a dotted journal, and I'm going to kind of keep track of everything I'm doing coloring wise. Today, while the baby was playing, I just sat with a notebook and I kind of planned out the, if you will, 8 or 9 pages I want to do. So I want to do like a title page, right? And then I want to do my book collection. So this is a journal that I'm going to use year after year after year, because there's like, I don't know, 200 pages in there. There's no way I'm going to use all of that in 1 year. So I am not making it specific to 2026, the beginning of it. So, the title page and then my book collections. And then when I'm going to start 2026, I'm going to use some letter stickers or stamps, and I'm going to put 2026, and then I'm going to start. And then I want to do the 26 pages I want to color in 2026. I want to keep track of how many pages I colored in a month. So I'm going to do a little graph for that. Not graph, but boxes for that. I want to keep track of all the pages I colored all year. So I'm going to have quite a few pages dedicated to that. I'm going to do a place where I'm going to make a spot for 100 pages that I can color in, and I'm going to write 1, 2, 3. And by the way, a 2-page spread like this is going to count as two. So the 2 that I finish, I'm going to color 2 blocks or 2 squares. And I haven't decided if I'm going to change the color every time. Probably I'll change the color for every square just to make it interesting. And then what else? There was 7 or and every month I want to do, like when I was reading, I used to do this type of journal thing for my books that I read too. And every month I would have a TBR, to be read. Well, I want to do a TBC. So I'm going to do to be colored, and then I'll start like January and I'll write down, the pages that I wanted to color. And then I'm going to make, color in the square when I'm done. And then I'll see, you choose 8 and you actually, add, I don't know how many. And, you know, yes, those are the pages that when I looked at it, um, that's what inspired me. But things change, and the only ones that I'm going to really stick to are the 26 that I want to color in 2026, because that is one of, my main goals. And the other thing is I'm going to do a page where I list all my goals. So, I want to color those 26 in 2026. I want to um, use different supplies that I've purchased. So, there's like my polychromos. I've never used them yet on a page. My chroma flows, that kind of stuff. Try to step outside of my comfort zone and, try new and different things. And I find that if you have your goals written down, then, as I flip through the book to update stuff, whether I put in a page that I colored or to color a square, or I want to make a spot where I can put all the releases of the new books that I want to keep an eye out or pre order. And, I want to put them by month so I know what month they come out. And if I hear about a book that I want, I have a spot where I can write it down. I want to do a page too, for all the pre-orders that I have. So I have a place where I can keep track of them and know when they're supposed to come in. Like tonight, I was watching a video by Jessica from the Coloring Bumblebee, and she was sharing the new book by Melpomene, and I can't say her last name, but it's called Flower Fantasy, and it's coming out at the end of February. And I had heard about it, but I was like, oh, I don't know, I'm still waiting on Dream Voyage, and you know, here in Canada, I'll only be able to get that book like next year. But when I saw her talk about it, I was like, oh, I wonder if Blackwell's have it in the UK. And the great thing is that they ship free to Canada. So I went and checked, and lo and behold, it was there. So I pre-ordered it. So the release date for that is February 26th. So things like that. Like I want a place where I can see it, visually, because I'll do the 12 squares or rectangles or whatever on one page so I can see where the books come out. But I also want to see on a page, like written down the date that they come out and all this stuff and whether I've already ordered it. Now, I think I'm going to film that process, but I'm not going to do it real time. I'm just going to film, just have the camera rolling. I'll film the whole thing, and then I'll do a voiceover like this and just talk about, what I was thinking. And at least you get to see the whole process, but it's going to be sped up. It's not going to be like a 5-hour thing because I'm pretty sure it's going to take me a bit of time. One thing that I told myself is I'm not going to overcomplicate it. It's basically somewhere where I can just go and, keep track of stuff. I am going to put a few stickers just to make it cute and maybe use some letter stickers and that kind of thing. But I don't want to spend 10 hours creating that journal when I could be using that time and, coloring a page instead. And I just find it really interesting at the end of the year to go check, because I'm going to, like I said, keep track. So January, if I colored, 6 pages, I'll have a number 6 in there. And I'm not going to keep track of like buddy colors and that kind of stuff because I don't think I'm at that level yet, if you will, because I still Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I take care of my granddaughter because my daughter went back to work after her brain surgery. And like today, she got here at 7:15, and my daughter's only like part time, right? It's her full time job, but it's just like when you go back slowly. Um, because it was a big surgery, so she's working till noon every day, but then she went home and slept because like maybe it wasn't in this video, it was in another one, but my granddaughter's been sick, so she hasn't been sleeping well during the night. So you add my daughter having to work and then not sleeping all night, and so she's exhausted, so she went home and slept till I think it was almost 6. And then she came over, and then um, maybe it was 5:30, whatever time it was. And then, I fed her supper, and Lexi ate too. And then they went home, and it was 7. So for me, it was a 12-hour day. And I'm filming this right now, and it's 10:38 p.m. And I earlier got a video ready for my Patreon. I do scrapbooking, and I have a Patreon for scrapbooking. And then I have a YouTube channel also for scrapbooking. So I had a video that I had to get ready for that. So I got that ready. And now I am doing this voiceover. I figured I would get maybe 20 minutes done. And then I think I'm going to color for maybe another half hour. And then I think I'm going to go to bed because I have to get up at 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. But one of my favorite things to color on this 2-page spread was the unicorn. And I just love how Karen did the hair or the mane on the unicorns. And so I just followed what she did. It's like really brilliant, different colors like orange and red and green and yellow and purple. You'll see at the end, it is so beautiful. I just love it. But even the unicorn itself, like um, the colors she chose, it was just like a blue and then added all the different colors that was in the mane, just a little bit here and there on the horse. It was just so much fun to do, and I really enjoyed the blending of all the colors. And again, by following somebody else's tutorial, I'm learning how to lay down the pencils and how to you know maybe think of color placement and where shadows should be and where highlights should be. And it's making it so that um, I'm feeling kind of ready to do my own. So in February, or maybe even before, but I know I have one plan for February. I've already chosen my card from the color cube, a couple cards actually, and for my palette. And what I'm going to do is before I start coloring it, I'm going to take that palette and I'm going to, one, choose what type of crayons I'm going to use. And two, I'm going to find, the shades. So if it is an orange, I'm going to choose a light color, a medium color, and then a really dark color, and maybe even five, a even darker and an even lighter color. And then with those I'm going to color the page, and it's going to be in the Land of Small Adventures or Little Adventures by Rita Berman. I've already chosen the page, and so I'm going to be filming that for sure. I might do one again in January. We will see if the time allows it. But when you think there's 11 days left, and we have a lot of stuff going on in the next 11 days. So sometimes, my ambition is more than I have time for. And I know there's no like coloring police and all that stuff. And whether I color all the 8 pages this month, it really doesn't matter. It's just I like to have something to reach for. And to tell you the truth, like every night we watch a TV show and then I'm like, okay, I'm done. I don't feel like watching TV anymore. And then, there's always hockey this time of year. So he watches hockey and I go sit at my desk and I color for an hour or two. And it's really kind of relaxing me and kind of turning off my brain so that I can sleep at night. I've been having, for the last 8 months, a really hard time to sleep. And once you get into that habit or that way, it's really hard to not do that. Again, last night I think it was close to 3 o'clock in the morning before I fell asleep. And I have to get up at 7, and then I have to go all day. I cannot take any breaks. And I did get her to nap for 45 minutes, but I just kind of stayed in the room where she is. And I just sat down. There's a couch in that room, and I sat down and I was, watching videos. I just had it on like volume one or whatever. So um, it wasn't going to bother her. I could barely hear it. I put the CC on so that I could read more than I could hear, and just kind of relaxed for 45 minutes. And then when she got up, I was like, you know what? I got to make supper. So I knew we had a roast and I threw that in the stove and I peeled my potatoes and my carrots. I don't know if you guys are like that. I don't know if you have trouble at the end of the day to get supper on. My tip would be to do it at noon. Potatoes sitting all day in water, it's not going to hurt it. I just put it in the pot on the stove, and I do the same thing with the carrots, and I threw the roast in at that time, put it at a low temperature, and it just cooks all day. And then when it's time for supper, at this time of day, like right now, it's 5 o'clock. The last thing I want to do is peel potatoes and peel carrots. So all I got to do is turn those on, and supper is basically on. Add some salt. I'd much rather be coloring or even doing this voiceover, doing something color related, or if I need to edit some videos, I'd rather be doing that right now than getting supper ready. Another thing that I did when the kids were younger, and I think I need to start doing that again. One, it gets you to use up what you have in your freezer and your fridge and everything, is to make like a menu or a plan. Um, if you've been following me, since the scrapbooking days, I like to plan stuff. So planning meals makes it so that you're like, okay, well, we have this, this, and this, and it needs to be used up. So you put it on the list, or it helps you make your list. And it's just so less stressful to get up and know that Tuesday or Wednesday, I'm making a roast. So when I get up that morning, I don't have to think about it. I just put it in the oven. I need to make some stuff that is ready in the freezer too. I might take you along, not on this channel, but my other channel. So Nicole Jones 911. If you want to go over there, I do sometimes share like kind of cooking stuff. It's more like it's scrapbooking, but I also do some organizing, and I also do a little bit of cooking once in a while, and diamond painting, that kind of stuff. And this channel is going to be mainly uh, coloring. A little update on those little cards I'm making, so that what I'm coloring, I'll be able to instead of putting it on the screen, because I found that was taking a long time. So I'm trying to come up with a different way to be able to let you know what pencils I'm using. And I finished 2 sets of pencils fully, and about halfway through the other one. I've kind of put that aside for a few days because there's only so many hours in a day. And I think I mentioned it at the beginning of this video. Like, this video is almost 2 weeks of voiceover. So that my grandson, he plays competitive hockey level A. And last weekend, we literally spent 15 hours in hockey rinks. Something like that. 15 hours in hockey rinks. I know Sunday we left the house at 9:30 in the morning, and we never got home till 5:30 at night, because in the morning it was the semifinals, and then they won that, and then the finals was at 2:45 in the afternoon, and they played and they won that. So they won the banner, and not only did they win it, but it was 5-0. Like, it was a shutout, which was so amazing. Actually, they played 5 games all weekend, and only 2 goals were against them. We had 3 shutouts, and the first game was a 3-1 game, and the third game was a 1-1 game. So they did amazing, and they won the banner. Now, in 3 weekends, they have another tournament, and then in March, they possibly have 2, depending on how they do the rest of the season. Because how it works is that you play 10 games, and usually it's the first 2 teams, they end up going to provincials, but provincials is going to be local this year. So that means we don't have to drive anywhere. It's going to be within, driving distance. So no hotels, which yay. But it means that they're only taking the number 1 team to provincial, because the team that's hosting will be automatically in provincials. And we're hoping it's going to be our area that is hosting. I mean, they have a good chance finishing in first anyway, because They finished in second after Christmas, and it was by 1 point. So they have a good chance. And the team that finished in first is a team that we just beat 5-0. So it was really great for the kids because they, you know, um, when you're second to that team that you're going against, it really boosts their morale and everything to win the cup. So they were super pumped. Now this week they have 2 practices, and then our season kind of continues. We've only played 1 out of the 10 games. So and their coach, it's funny because if they win games, they call it donut, like 5-0. The zero is a donut. If they have 10 games that they have shutouts, he's going to buy them Halo donuts. Well, last Thursday before the weekend, they got their first set of Halo donuts because they had 10 shutouts. Well, this weekend, they got 3 games that was shutouts. So they're only 7 games away from having Halo donuts again. So whatever motivates them, right? So I'm feeling a little exhausted because of all the hockey. And of course, after our game, then the AA U13, they were in the finals, and my grandson wanted to stay and watch that, which we did. And sadly, they lost 5-4, but it was a good game. And we were happy that we were there to, support the team. So all that to say that I didn't get much coloring done over the weekend, and I didn't get any of those little cards any further ahead on those, but I'm hoping to get more done this week, and I need to film a book haul. It's only 4 books, but I think that'll keep it within, I don't know, maybe 15 to 25 minutes instead of like 50 minutes, maybe 15 minutes. And I have another one that's coming in on Saturday, but I think I'll keep that for the next time. I did pre-order a book yesterday. Oh, I think I mentioned that yesterday. Flower Fantasy. It is gorgeous. I can't wait to get that. And I did order the Something Library from Maria Trolley. Oh, I can't wait for that one. That's only like March or April. And then I ordered from Hannah Calzone or Calzone. Calzone. Why can't I say her name? It's not Zone, it's Zon. Hannah Calzone. um, what is her new book? I can't remember what the name is, but I got that one. When I look at my little book here, I keep all the pre-orders in my book. And so this is what I have coming. Dream Voyage by Melpomene was supposed to be released on January 6th. Now it got pushed back to February 3rd. Then the library book from Maria Trolley is Magical Library, April 28th. And the one from Hannah Calzone is March, but it's like Barreletzer or something. And then Mythographic Fairy, that is April 7th. Fantasy World by Emily Little something. That's April 28th. Halloween by Hannah Carlzone is July 7th, because here it gets delivered or published way later, like a year later. And that's why I wanted to get the new book by Melpomene. I got it on blackwells.com. It's a UK company, but it's free shipping to Canada. And it was like reasonably priced, probably cheaper than I can get it here. And then if you order it before it is released, you get it for like $21. After it's released, then it's going to go up to like more expensive than me getting it here in Canada. So I'm going to try and get all my pre-orders, if I can get them. Because The ones from iMusic is really expensive, but Blackwell's is not getting them. Christmas Colors by Maria Trolley. That is August 18th. The Mythographic Alice in Wonderland. This is June 23rd. And then Flower Fantasy. That's February 26th. That's coming up quick. Like that's a little over a month. I love that. I want to pre-order to Million Little Dragons. That's coming out in June too. So I'll probably do that in the next couple of days. I'm just trying to see which books are coming out. I think I said yesterday I was going to put this list in my journal, but I think I'll keep that in here because I have the price and, like the dates and everything is in this book. And that's where, like, I kind of do my budget stuff. So that's where it needs to be. But that other one where I'm just going to put, like, the book is coming out, I think that's enough. That I'll keep in my journal. And I was thinking of using a journal that has like 120 pages, but I think I'm going to take my other journal that has 320 pages because I don't plan on sticking anything in there. So then I can use that same journal for probably, 7 or 8 years because at the beginning of each year, I can just put, either stamp it or letter stickers, put the year. And so I think that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to do that. And then I'm going to make it so that, 2026, and then I'll have all the stuff for 2026 and then next year, 2027. And I'm wondering too if I should do a page on maybe the supplies I bought that year. I might do that, a page with the supplies. So, if I buy some new ink tents because I have not the small set, but I have the 84 and I want like more of the colors and I might want the limited edition. So if I buy that, I can put that in there. And then when I kind of do a look back at the year, I can say, hey, you brought this stuff in. Did you use it? Now, I'm trying to make a list of the different videos that I want to post on this channel. So one is like my TBCs, so to be colored, and then the pages that I colored the month before. So like at the beginning of February, I'll do to be colored for February and what I colored in January. And then, some hauls, whether it's coloring books or supplies. I'd like to do a video of, what I'm working on and then maybe maybe keep it to a half an hour, 45 minutes, and maybe color a little bit with you guys and kind of chat. So not be live, but real time. And then one video where I share a color along. And the reason I say one is because I plan on voicing over the whole thing. So if you like chatty videos, those are the ones that are going to be super chatty, and I'm going to be talking about coloring. I didn't do too much in this video because I'm following somebody else's tutorial. So, I'm not really talking about the colors I'm using or what I was thinking when I chose the colors or how I chose the colors. But in the ones that I plan on doing in the future, that I plan on doing that. So those are going to be still chatty videos, probably between an hour and a half to 2 hours. And depending on how long it took me to color specific pages, it might be a part 1 and a part 2. And that's where I'll be just chit-chatting about life and if we did anything fun and anything I plan on filming or anything I'm working on and chatting about the page. And it just be a place where, when you're coloring, you can just turn the video on and you can be coloring and just kind of be hearing from a friend. That's the vibe that I want to put out there. And that's what I do on my scrapbooking channel. Like if you go back, I have 1,200 plus scrapbooking videos where the very beginning, I did voiceovers, and then at one point I was like, nope, I'm going to start filming real time. And then I never looked back. I just did real time. And then my diamond paintings, if my videos are an hour and 45 minutes, I literally chat for the entire hour and 45 minutes, chat about what's going on. Back then, I used to chat about the books that I read and whether I liked them a lot or not, and just about life. And I'm hoping to bring those back too on my other channel, but we'll see. I'm trying to not throw too much onto my plate. I go through spurts like that where I'm just like filming, editing, filming, editing, uploading. And, I also have my Patreon that I work on. And now I'm going to have two channels. And then all of a sudden it's like, boom, I can't do anything because I burn out. And I don't want to do that. I want to keep filming. So my goal for this channel is going to be 2 to 3 videos a week. And my other channel, I'm going to do a couple of videos a week. And then I do I think it's about 11 or 12 videos for my Patreons, for my patrons too. So that's quite a few videos a month. So I'm just going to keep it at that for now and then see how it goes, because I do have my granddaughter Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and some days it's 12-hour days. Today, um, she went home, my daughter went home around 4:30. So then it was like I just, cleaned up the house, cuz believe me, my granddaughter likes to take out everything. My daughter helped me cleaned up too, but there was still a little bit of stuff to do, and then I just, had a little bit of dishes to put away, and I did that, and I'm like, "Oh, so I don't have to do that later, right?" And checked on the roast. And then I was like, okay, I'm going to go and do probably 20-25 minutes of voiceover. And then I plan on filming um, my my coloring books that I got in the last few days. And then I'm going to be coloring for the rest of the night. Okay, so now I'm coming to you. It's quite a few days later. I'm talking like probably almost a week. I really tried to get it out there really fast, but there is so much other stuff to get done, and I just didn't have time to finish the voiceover. But we're getting it done today, right? So that's the main thing. I think my favorite thing to color on this page is definitely the unicorn. That was so fun to do. And it just feels like that was so long ago. Today is the 23rd of January, and I'm pretty sure I started this page either on the 1st or the 2nd of January. Like it was right at the beginning of January. And I finished it, I think it was like the 10th. So it didn't take me too long to get done. I found it's like the later pages that it has taken me a longer time to get done, and that's because our life just got super busy, right? I'm just looking it up here. Yeah, I started on the 2nd of January and finished it on the 12th. And then Minoresa Africa, The Mask, I started on the 4th and finished on the 6th. So that was a quick one. And Lulu's House of Wonder, I started it on January 10th and finished it the same day. And Magical Jungle, I started on the 13th and I'm still not finished. In Minoresa Dirge Africa, the Treehouse, I started that on the 19th and I still not finished, and it's almost done. Those 2 pages, the last 2, the Magical Jungle and the Treehouse, they're almost done. But I kind of put them on the back burner because it just would not stop nagging at me that I needed to get a journal done for me to keep track of everything. And I think I've talked about this at the beginning of the video. And I knew that that was going to take me like 4 or 5 hours, and it did. It took me 4 or 5 hours, but now it's done. Now, like we're almost into February, so I didn't want to put that off too much. And now I just need to to fill it in. I think I have about 30 some of my book collection in there. 33. I have 33 of my 92 put in there. So I'm going to keep doing, I'm just going to put a little bit in there every day. And everything else is pretty much ready to go. I filmed pretty much the whole entire process. There was only a couple things that I didn't film, and I've moved it over to my computer, and I have about a 45-minute voiceover to do. So I'm like, okay, well, you need to finish this one first, render this one, upload it, share it, and then maybe tomorrow morning I can do the voiceover for the next one. My grandson plays hockey tonight, so we have to leave in about 2 hours. So I figured, get this done. I only had about 20 minutes left of recording to do. And then I think I'm going to color. I feel like coloring. I haven't colored in days because I've been working on that journal. Is it perfect, the journal? Probably not. But it's perfect enough that I can put all my stuff in there. I didn't want to spend too much time working on that. Like, I didn't want to take 2 weeks to get it done. That's pages that I could color. So it's a cute place to put all my data so that, whenever I'm filming videos, I got the data. And just for me, I'm a person that loves like numbers. I like to know like how, like even when, because I do scrapbooking, and even I was keeping track of how many rolls of ATG tape that I used in a year, and how many scrapbooking pages that I did. And I just like numbers. And when I read books, how many books I read in a year, and how many of them were fantasy, and how many of them were romance, and how many, like, I just really like numbers. And I made as many pages as I could relating to coloring. So that should be fun to keep track of, all the things about coloring, like things like, untouched books. I want to make sure that I have so many books that they're not fully new, like there's nothing colored in them. So just little things like that. I don't want to, like, for example, in January, I look at my TBC, so my to be colored for January, and I think I had 4 or 5 from the same book. I think it was 5. I took one away because I was like, that's just too much. And it's Mina Raisa, Dirge Africa. I absolutely love that book. So I just wanted to, color all the things. I just took one away. So it's not like it's going to make that much of a difference. But instead, I put Lulu's House of Wonder, and I've already colored a page in there. So that's really great. So let me know in the comments down below, do you keep track of all your coloring stuff? Like, I put the book, the name of it. So whether, like this one, I called it Unicorn. So the name of the book, Tales from the Forest Kingdom, then Unicorn, and then I put the start date, the finish date, and then the materials used. And I think even if you're not doing videos, I think it would be good to know, because then you could, if you come back, even a few months later, I don't know if you're like me, but a few months later, you come back and it's like, what did I use? Like, what did I use for this combo, well, that won't be in my journal. I have a different journal for that where I keep the color combos. I haven't been that great to keeping it up, but I have like a notebook where I'm putting it like rough, like with the nice one, I put, like, let's say unicorn hair and first color combo orange, and then I color in a little square and I put the numbers of all the combos. It does take time, but sometimes I feel like doing something, but I don't feel like starting a new page or working on the page that I am at the present time. So that can be something that I can grab. And I have, let's say, I know that my green one is for Rita Berman. And then I literally counted how many books or how many pages are in the book. And then I left that many pages free. And then the second book starts. And a double page spread, I leave 2 pages because I notice that because it is a double page spread, you end up using a lot of colors. So you need a lot of more space than just a single page spread, which makes sense. Now that my journal is done, the next thing I'm going to focus on is making those little cards. So when I do my own videos, I can, put the name of the color next to where I'm coloring so that I don't have to do like hours, literally hours of editing to put the number on the screen. So that's the next thing. And again, that's not something that I want to spend 5 hours in a day getting done because I want to color. Like this morning, yesterday, the day before, the night before, I was going to bed and I like to make a list for myself, because I have Thursdays and Fridays and sometimes a little bit of Saturday that I get to do my work because I watch my granddaughter Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Wednesday night when I went to bed, and I'm talking, it was late. It was almost 1 o'clock in the morning. I grab, you know, a notepad and a pen or a pencil, and I start writing. This is what I need to do tomorrow. So I need to work on my next page for Patreon, and then I wanted to work on the journal, and I wanted to finish the magical jungle and then make some leeway on the Minor Race of Dirge Africa page, the treehouse page. And then I look at the date and I go, oh my gosh, we're the 21st of January. I have a live. I do lives with my patrons. I have a live on Friday and I haven't done my page kits for it. And usually I post that on Monday. Like I'm really good at posting stuff when they're supposed to be. I've been dealing with a sick baby for the last 3 weeks. And then last week was a tournament. So Friday, I didn't get to work at all because we were on the road all day. So I was like, oh my goodness. So now, and then I had to do the page that was due on that Thursday. So I was like, oh my goodness. So change of plans. The make a page kit has to be first. Then I had to do a thumbnail for the live. I had to schedule the live. Then I had to edit said video and then upload it. I upload my videos to YouTube and then share a link on Patreon. They're unlisted. And then I had to do the page of that day that was due that day and do all those said things. And then on Thursdays, I have to pick up my grandson early, so I have to leave the house by 3:15. So literally, I finished. It was 5 to 3, and I started first thing in the morning. So 2:55, I finish. I run into the kitchen, and I usually make him a couple of peanut butter sandwiches and bring him some water, just for a little snack in case he's, a little hungry. So I was doing that, making the peanut butter sandwiches. I had to get dressed because I was still in my PJs, and off I go off to pick him up for his hockey. And in that too, I started working on the journal. I didn't get much done because of all that other stuff, but I'm like, even if you just get to do one, that's okay. Even if it's just like the cover page, the title page, that is fine. At least you got something done. And then when you come home tonight after hockey, you can get some more. So I ended up working last night up to almost, I think it was 10:30, 11. Took a break for supper. We are watching Landman right now. And last night we were watching the last episode of season 2. So we're all caught up in that. So now we got to figure out what else can we watch. We only watch one episode of whatever per night because we just have so many other things to do. So I find one episode a night, and then I went back to my desk and I worked till about, like I said, 11. And then I went to bed, got up first thing this morning. When my alarm went off at 8, I was like, oh my gosh, I'm so tired. But I got up because I had a live. So I did the live. That lasted an hour and a half, which surprised me because my first page took me about 45 minutes to get done. And then I got 2 pages done in another 45 minutes. I find that first one I'm like a slug. And then once I get the mojo going, then I'm good. And that's what I'm hoping what it will be like for coloring. I'm really slow right now, but I'm kind of building up my mojo, figuring out what I need to do, how to blend these pencil. I'm kind of a little, if you want to say hesitant, to go and use polychromos because I know that instead of blending, you need to layer. So it's going to be a whole new learning thing. But one of my goals this year is to learn new technique. And that's a technique. It's different than mushing it together, right? Prismacolors are really good at mushing. So I have a page that I want to do with polychromos this month. So I'm hoping, you know, that I'll be okay. I'm going to follow a tutorial. So that should be good. And I used my Albert Durs a couple weeks ago and fell in love. Like I just want to use those all the time now. And especially, I know I can get open stock in my area. That just made it like, yes, you know, I can get Prismacolors open stock in my area. I can get Albert Durs and I could get my polychromos. I can't get Inktense, which kind of sucks because I really would like to get, because I got the 82 or 84 Intense and I'd like to get the new 28 set. And I would love to get the limited edition too, right? But it is what it is. At least I can get those 3 or 4 and I can get the Tombow markers to open stock. So I'm trying to, the Tombow markers, I probably have maybe 40 of them and there's 108. So I'm trying to get 3 or 4 of them at a time. So it's, a little bit more affordable. And I know that these other pencils, I'm not going to use them as much as my Prismacolors, I don't think. So I think I'll be okay just getting them open stock. And my Prismacolors, what I did was I was watching and seeing, because a full set of 150, they're $200, right? Well, right around Black Friday, they went down to 104. And I was down to at least 20 or 25 that were getting really short. And I'm like, well, they're $3 each. So that's 75 bucks, right? So for 104, I'm just going to get the whole set. And I have the whole set as a second that I have, as there so that like my 917, very soon I'm going to need to use an extender and it's not the only one. I'd say there's about 10 pencils right now that I'm going to need extenders really soon. Oh, while I'm thinking of it, I mentioned in this video that my daughter, had a brain surgery. He removed part of her skull and her C1 because they were fused together. And she saw the neurosurgeon today and he's really happy with how she's coming along. He's going to do another MRI in 6 months. He wants to see where it's at in 6 months, but he said at how much she progressed well in the first 3 months, like the syrinx was practically gone, like it went from 9 millimeters to 2 millimeters. And then he showed her some x-rays today and he said, basically, you are one lucky girl because I can't tell you, you were one sneeze away from being a quadriplegic. Not even, like waist down. This was neck down. And that is so scary because I started crying all over again. She's like, Mom, why are you crying? And I said, but because if you are quadriplegic, then your lungs don't function well. And I was at a spot where I could talk about it without crying, but I can tell you today, when he said that, and we knew that, but he said it was really bad. So we're so thankful. So thankful, but at the same time, like I was telling her, I said, and that's why I have such a hard time. Like this week, for example, she was taking her daughter to the doctor and she went by herself, and I wanted to say like, well, I'm going, and but I didn't want to push, she's trying to be independent again. And she said, Mom, I was fine. I was fine going by myself. I said, I know, but you had a headache. And I just felt like, but I didn't want to push myself on you. And it's so hard for me not to do. I'm really, really trying to not do that, or to say, like, Lexi can sleep over here, like she needs to build her endurance again from, just from the surgery and everything. But it's really difficult when you were at the wheel for, you know, almost a year, and now she needs to become independent again. And she's back at work and she's only doing part days. I don't know when she's going back. She's going to do 2 days a week that she's going to do full days, and the other 3 she's just going to do 8 to 12. She's going to do that for a while, and then she's going to bring one more day that she's going to do a full day, and then keep it to 3 days full and 2 days part, so that you got to think, you got to think, they didn't think she was going to be able to work at all. So if she can do 30 hours a week, that's huge. That's huge. So hopefully she'll get there, really soon. So man, we're getting at the end of this page, and I, took the Thule art and I did a lot of outlining for like all the water and all the bubbles. Now she had the whole unicorn too outlined in white, and I didn't want to do that. And I liked them the way they are, so I didn't end up doing that, but I did a little bit of the water and those bubbles. And this, I think, like I said, this was the first 2 pages that I finished this month, and they're probably going to be my favorite for the whole month. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work, and I'm glad that I got it done first. And I think that's how I'm going to kind of tackle the months, is I'm going to try and do the pages that kind of are harder to do first and then get them out of the way. But that's it. That is the end of these 2-page spread. And if you're new to my channel, don't forget to hit subscribe if you're enjoying these videos. If you wouldn't mind, give me a thumbs up, leave me a comment down below, and I want to thank you so much for watching. Bye.